Shanti sister, how are you?
Om Shanti, brother. Fine. How are you, brother?
Yeah, I'm fine too, sister. So, what's the topic today?
America's fire is the cause of man, nature, or God. What do you think about it?
Okay, sister. So, now this is the point of debate everywhere uh, among all religions. It's heartbreaking that whole California is engulfed by fire. So, now people, because if fire breaks out in one place, then okay, it could be of any reason. But when the same fire broke out at various places at the same time, so that's when people start to doubt whether it's really by nature or somebody else is doing that. And also, they have arrested some person who were torching the tree. So people are becoming so um, self-oriented. They don't have sympathy or empathy for anybody nowadays. So they say it's homeless people who put fire to the wood. Maybe they want, uh, maybe those who live in houses may have treated them badly, or just because uh, out of their bad negative intention that they do like that. So it's not normal to do like this because it's um, the whole town is on fire, which is uh, not a trivial thing to ignore. And another thing that's really heartbreaking is despite the huge loss in California, despite people losing all their properties all of a sudden to fire, we are seeing many Muslims creating videos almost having fun of what's happening in America, which is really bad. How can one laugh at somebody else's sorrow? So that's the outcome of their attachment to their religion because they think it is America who is responsible for the war in Palestine. So they think now God has become angry on America and he is causing these things. So they are very happy. They even had one video where they compare America before fire breakout and after that. So, and in the background, they are playing the Muslim prayer. So, what they want to convey that God is doing this. So, and also there is another video where a guy was speaking while the display shows America on fire. He is saying that who is superpower? Only Allah is superpower. So they are angry on America for what happened to Palestine, but it's very complicated because it's uh, Muslims, not Muslims, Muslim militants, Hamas, and certain other militants were the actual reason for the conflict in that area. So they are responsible for the death of all Palestinians because if they haven't kidnapped those people few months back, Israel wouldn't have waged war against uh, uh, militants so intensely that has taken away many thousands of lives. So now the question arises if what happens in America is the outcome of God's anger, is the outcome of what America did to Palestine, then who will you blame for what has happened to Palestine? So now you are smart enough to think that it is because of the bad deeds of America. America is suffering, which is I I don't refuse. But when it comes to Palestine, how do you know they didn't do anything, right? Because God knows everything. God knows what everybody does in their past, either in this life or in the past life. So if you judge America in this way, then you should also judge Palestine in that way. But you are biased because of your attachment to your religion. So that's why attachment is also a sin, like lust, anger, greed, and ego. So these five vices are responsible for all the problems that humans face today. And that's mainly because we identify ourselves to our body. That's called body conscious. We think we are this body, so we want to satisfy, give pleasure to this body to the maximum. So that's when you become arrogant, uh, selfish to the extent that you put America on fire. So these things um, are result of attachment. So the first thing you need to understand is God is not so bad that he wants to hurt people. He has he is not involved in causing pain to anybody, no matter you are good or bad. He always wants good for you. He always wants the best for you. He doesn't want the worst for you. So it's like you are actually putting blame on God. So it is our karma. If we have sinned in the past, we will be punished. So for that, you need to know what sin is. So if some country is waging war against another country, which is also sinful, but that is not only sin, right? If that were the case, it is not the whole America that waged war against Palestine. It is just the leader who decided that. So if somebody needs to be punished, only the leader should be punished. Why the people are punished? Likewise, it is Hamas militants who caused the war and also other militants. Only they should be punished. But why the public gets punished? Of course, what militants does, what leaders does, they are sinful. But why are those who did not take part in that getting punished? So does God punish the innocent ones? No, he never punishes anybody first. And also for those who get punished, they are punished for their sins. So if you haven't sinned, but still you are in the area of war, just before something happens in that place, you would automatically leave that place for some reason. You wouldn't know. Only after that, bomb blast would happen in that area. So this is clearly represented in biblical story where Abraham asked God, if there are only 100 good people in a town, will you destroy that town? God says, no, I won't. What if just 50 good people? God says, I won't. Just 5? God says, I won't. So uh, the town where Lot lives is filled with homosexuals. So God decides to destroy the town. Except Lot and his family, everybody is a sinner there. So God asked Lot and his family to get away from this town, and while leaving, don't look back. So they were following God's words and leaving the town, but his wife turns to look at the burning town and she becomes a stone. So that has deep spiritual meaning. But here, uh, actually, the story has many uh, spiritual secrets in it. But here, relevant to what we are speaking is the fact God doesn't punish even a single innocent one. That's something you need to understand. So if something is happening bad to us, everybody is suffering now, not only America and Palestine. No matter where you live, you always just imagine what happened during COVID-19 period. We are all living in constant fear, right? And also there is some new virus breakout. We fear that too. So that spreads across the globe in a fraction of a second. So now we need to understand there is something that we are doing wrong because of which we are suffering. Now it's time to take note of what we are doing, what is right, what is wrong. Just because everybody around me is doing something doesn't mean that should be right. Just because my religion says something doesn't mean it should be right. Because if I'm following strictly my religion, still I'm getting punished in the form of disease or war or fire breakout or any other natural calamity. It obviously means what you are doing is sinful. Maybe your religion or somebody else is misguiding you. All religions are man made, no doubt about it. So we have nobody to advise us on the right path. That's why God says we are all orphans. Nobody to guide us in the right path. Only God has the right path, as mentioned in Quran. Only Allah knows knowledge. He has to come himself to give this knowledge. But that's not mentioned in uh, Bible and Quran because they think Jesus is going to come. And in Hinduism, they think Krishna is going to come in the form of Kalki Avatar. But Krishna had come and gone. Jesus Christ had come and gone. Only God hasn't come yet. But nobody knows anything about God. No religious scriptures say anything about God. If it were actually the words of God, the first thing it should reveal is about God. How he looks like, where is he, what is his characteristics, how is he related to us, why should he help us, and how he is helping us, why should we worship him? All these questions are unanswered. If you are a Muslim, you need to believe in Quran. If you are a Christian, you need to believe in Bible. That's it. You shouldn't question. That's what religion conditions you. But without getting answer to these things, you are as good as an atheist. Yes, we are all atheists because we know nothing about God. No matter what religion you belong to, we know nothing about God. That's the fact. Because only God has the knowledge about himself, about us, about our past lives, about this world cycle of 5,000 years. So he comes in the end. Where? Where from did he come? If he comes here, it means he was somewhere else before coming here. So it should prove God is not everywhere. People say Jesus is ever living. Where is he? He is everywhere. If he is everywhere, why should he come again? Right? But Jesus is not God. Of course, he is here. He is also taking a rebirth just like us. He has forgotten what he has done in his past life, just like Sri Krishna,
One
the
second,
number
brother.
one human of Sri Krishna, of heaven. Uh, so whoever takes birth through a mother's womb can never be God, because if somebody is taking birth just like us, they have to die just like us. They have to enter rebirth just like us. When they take rebirth, they are going to forget whatever happened in their past birth, just like we all. Do we remember what we did in our past life? Nobody does. Just like that, be it Jesus Christ, be it Sri Krishna, nobody knows anything about what they were in the past. So they have taken several rebirths. This world was heaven in the beginning for the first 2500 years. Then it becomes hell. God comes in the end, not through a mother's womb like us. He doesn't take birth like that, but he directly enters an old man's body and he names him Brahma. This Brahma is called Adam in Bible and Quran. So he's not the first person on earth, but he is the first person whom God gives this knowledge to and makes into deity, the resident of heaven, by transforming his character just 100 years before the destruction of the world. So God enters Brahma's body and gives this divine teaching called Murli, which is available absolutely free of cost in all Brahma Kumaris Rajyog meditation centers. Also, you can find it for free in YouTube and several websites. We'll be giving the links of some of them in the description below. Please make use of it. The essence of God's teaching is so simple. You just have to consider yourself to be the soul, and you have to remember God as a point of light. Soul is a point of light in between the eyebrows. It's the life energy that operates this body. Likewise, God is also a soul, but he stays away from taking birth in heaven or hell. Nonetheless, only he has the knowledge. He has to give this knowledge to benefit us, or else there is no benefit in him having the knowledge, and there is no need for us to worship him if he doesn't come at all, if he doesn't give this knowledge to us at all. He says the world was heaven and you were living there as deities whom Hindus worship till date. But they didn't know they were actually deities in their past lives. So now God wants us to give us back everything we have lost over the past 5,000 years. In heaven, for the first 2,500 years, there is no trace of sorrow or pain because nobody commits any sin there. Only in heaven, people are free of sin. The very reason this is called hell in the last 2,500 years is because people have started committing sin. You can't find a single person who is free of sin in hell. Be it Jesus, be it Muhammad, be it Buddha, everybody is a sinner, or else they wouldn't take birth in hell. In heaven, everybody is free of sins. They don't know what lust is, what anger, greed, attachment, or ego is. Can you show anybody who doesn't know these vices here? So that should prove that they are all sinners. Even childbirth happens in heaven. When husband and wife have this thought of having a baby, the wife gets pregnant, not by having sex. They don't even get slightly disturbed by each other's beauty. They were very beautiful. Deities would be so beautiful and so pure. And they were so wealthy that they live in palaces built out of golden bricks. Lion and cow take water from the same pond together. It is mentioned in Bible and Quran, which indicates even lion doesn't feed on other animals. They feed on plants. But if you keep feeding on other animals, won't you make heaven into hell the minute you enter? That's why God asks you to give up consuming non vegetarian food, to give up lust, to give up anger, to give up greed, attachment, and ego. Not only he asks you to give up, but also he teaches you how to give up, which is something no religion teaches. They say prostitution is a sin, but they permit sex between husband and wife. When they have sex between husband and wife, they get addicted to the point they will start lusting after other men and women, and prostitution will happen. Now, everybody is a prostitute, which is why Jesus Christ calls everybody as the sons and daughters of prostitute. So, that did not happen 2000 years before when Jesus was born. That's actually happening now. Nothing mentioned in Bible, Quran, Ramayana, Gita, or Mahabharata ever happened for real. If it happened for real, it would be history. It would be in the history section in the library. Do you find that in the history section? So that foretells the future events that's happening in the last 100 years, which is happening now. So at this point, you see people killing each other, even their family members, for property. They're ready to do anything. See, now when whole America is on fire, people are stealing. So even at the time of destruction, they don't change their mind. So such is the mind of people now. So that's when God comes to change our mindset. It is because we consider ourselves to be the body in hell that we get addicted to lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. But while we were soul conscious in heaven, that is, we consider each other as souls. It is souls that performs all actions through this body. So it is soul that sees through the eyes, speaks through the mouth. If there were no soul, then you couldn't see, though you have eyes. You couldn't speak, though you have mouth. So that proves it is the soul that performs everything, and you are the soul and not this body. Residents of heaven were constantly aware of that. So when they speak with each other, their vision goes in between the eyebrows where souls reside. That's the reason Hindus apply tilak here without even knowing that. So God, so slowly what happens is we forget that we are souls and we become body conscious. While we were soul conscious, we were constantly happy because that's the very nature of this soul. Since your concentration is on the soul, you were deriving happiness from within. But when you get distracted by external attractions after the first 2500 years, that's when you become body conscious and becoming addicted to the sensual pleasures. And these five vices, lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego, conquers you, conquers the richness of heaven God gave you. So we gradually lose our wealth, health, peace, happiness. So we are seeing conflict within family, outside family, between nations, and all sorts of natural calamities and new diseases. So man is undergoing sorrow after sorrow. But do you know what the good news is? It's not going to last forever. Just few years are left for this world to be converted to heaven. Of course, the world will be destroyed. Everybody has to leave our body. Only then you will take a new body which is free of all diseases in heaven. For that, You need to again consider yourself to be soul as you originally considered while you were in heaven. But now you have no strength in this soul. So that's why God asks us to remember Him as a point of life. God reveals that He is like a point of light, just like we souls. So the more we remember God as a point of light, after considering ourselves to be souls, which is also essential. Not only remembering God is essential, but also considering ourselves to be souls is equally essential. So by considering ourselves to be souls and remembering God as a point of light as much as possible, our souls get purified from vicious thoughts. You have to forcefully contain yourself from external attractions. Only then you will be able to connect your mind to God constantly and fill yourselves with power. At one point, you will no longer get attracted to anything that's happening around you, be it good or bad. So that's the sign that your sins are absolved. Not if somebody is getting killed in the cross will wash away your sin, or neither sacrificing the cattle will wash away your sin. Because you are the sinner, you have to make effort to come out of it. So it is rooted so deeply in your mind, the soul. Within the soul is the mind and intellect and sanskar. Sanskar is the recording of your past. So you have to wash that out. That is what washing away sins actually mean. So we have to remember God constantly, and also we need to remember the teachings of God constantly, which is available as Murli in all Brahmakumaris Rajyog meditation centers, as I mentioned before. So it is from God's knowledge we are speaking, not from any scriptures written by any human. So there is also another thing that's widely spoken that God is angry on America. So one pastor in India said, quoting words from Bible, that Jesus says similar natural calamities and says to the people, don't think they have sinned more than you. But if you haven't changed yourself, you will also be facing similar consequences. So it actually means, it doesn't mean they haven't sinned most, but your focus should not be there. Your focus should be, I should change myself before something else happens, similar happens to me, because that's bound to happen. This is the judgment day. Don't think it will happen at some other time. It's happening now. The world is getting transformed into heaven. Before that, it will be destroyed. Before that, all your karmic accounts need to be settled. So, by being in remembrance of God, no matter what unjust happens to you, just bear it. Don't oppose it. That's why Jesus says, show one, if somebody slaps on one cheek, show him another cheek and settle the account. But that's not mentioned there about settling the account. When you do not know the reason, then you wouldn't actually show another cheek. Obviously, you will fight. Now, God clearly says it is your karma that's happening, that's torturing you. Now, you have to wash away your sinful karma by being in remembrance of God and by filling yourself with the divine qualities. How do you get that? By reading the direct knowledge of God. If you read your religious scriptures, you will find many misguiding, like God Himself asked you to kill, such things. No, God wouldn't ask anybody to kill anybody. Neither God does that Himself. God always wants to help you. So He is actually giving this teaching so that you will be saved from the punishment for the things you have done in the past. But if you don't listen to Him, then how can you blame God for that? So this is just a warning for all of us. What has happened to the number one richest nation in the world? So it wouldn't take long for us to experience similar thing. So it could come in any form. In India, there were earthquakes, landslides, floods, frequent floods. So all across the globe, there will be one problem after another. But all you need to do is to remember God as a point of light as much as possible, because God says, when you are in remembrance of me, I will be with you and nothing will ever happen to you. Doesn't mean you will not leave this body, but you will leave this body in remembrance of God as if your hair is pulled out of butter. It will be so smooth. You won't suffer any pain. Actually, you won't even see what's happening around you. That's visible through this naked eye. Instead, God gives this third eye of knowledge, through which you see each other only as souls, not as body. So when you practice this intensely, and by remembering God intensely, God will give you vision about heaven at the end when the world is getting destroyed around you. So you will be happily living this body thinking that you are going to enter heaven. You have no idea that world is getting destroyed around you. So you are saved from that because you have burnt away all your sins by being in remembrance of God before that. So this is the message directly from God. You have to remember Him, that's it. But no scripture has mentioned anything about God and what you get from remembering God. That's the reason they are doing sins. That's the reason they are waging war against each other. Now you know you are going to enter heaven that is free from any sin. So no matter what happens, don't get angry, don't get lustful, even with your wife. Don't get lustful because that will lead to extramarital affairs, then to rape, everything. So we are entering the world that is free from sex. So only then it would be heaven, or else it would be hell. So they'll be free of any vicious or bad thoughts. And nothing bad will ever happen for the next 2500 years, which is very good news, right? All you need to do is to remember God as a point of light as much as possible, no matter what you do. You go to work, you look after your family, you do everything but being in remembrance of God. That's it. That's the only difference you are going to make. And listen to God's teaching. It will take hardly 30 minutes to read daily Murli. You can Google it yourself. In every language, it's available. So, Om Shanti. So now our duty is not to send prayer. That's the path of devotion before the arrival of God. Devotion is created by humans. Religions are created by humans. Now God says you can give them, you can bless them with peace and happiness. For that, you need to detach yourself from everything, including your body. Consider yourself just as a soul. Of course, you have to look after your family, but you should not get attached to them. So consider yourself to be soul and remember God all the time. Then imagine as if the purity and peacefulness and happiness are flowing like waves around you across the globe. Or else you can send it specifically to America, to Palestine, wherever you want. You can do that. But for that, you should keep your mind free from any waste or negative thoughts. So that is possible by being in remembrance of God as much as possible and by remembering the teachings of God. That's available in all Brahma Kumaris Rajयोग Meditation Center. The main thing that you should never forget till the time of death is to consider yourself to be soul and to remember God as a point of light, because only then you will be able to go there, or else you will be taking birth again and you will suffer more. You shouldn't take birth in hell. You should take birth in heaven. For that, you have to go there and come here. For that, you need to get purified. So, whether or not you are going to leave this body happily by uh, clearing your sinful karma by being in remembrance, or only after getting punished, is in your hands. So, be in remembrance of God, Save yourself and let's spread peace and blissfulness to all our brothers and sisters, be it Palestinians, be it Americans, be it even militants. They're doing because they have no one to guide them. They are following the human dictates. Now God Himself is showing His direction. So let's give them the power of purity so that their intellect work. They will be attracted towards this. They will get the vision of us, giving this knowledge in their own language. So all these things God will take care of. But you should never show any enmity among your brothers because everybody is a son and daughter of God. God is just one. He is called God Shiva by Hindus, Heavenly Godfather by Christians, Allah by Muslims. God is one for everybody. Then why do you hate each other? He is the Father of all souls. So all souls are brothers of us. So is it not our duty to show mercy on our brothers by giving this knowledge or at least giving the power of peace and blissfulness? Because there will be somebody to give them food and shelter, but giving them peace and blissfulness is something only you can do. Om Shanti. Thanks for watching. Om Shanti.